Joining us today, and welcome to KEI. We are delighted to see all of you here. Before I proceed with the speaker introduction, probably it is not necessary to remind you that lunch is available in the back, but just in case, I will say it one more time. One important detail here is that access to the other KEI facilities is through that door on the side. That being said, I would like to welcome our two speakers today. Sam Jaffe is an analyst in the area of renewable energy, working for IDC Energy Insights, a multinational research and advisory company. He ran his own consulting company previously, and prior to that, he was a magazine journalist writing for publications including Scientific American or Wired to the New Republic. He has also served as a staff member at several publications, including Business Week, The Wall Street Journal, and Bloomberg. Sam has his MA from New York University and BA from Wake Forest University. Myung Kim is a communications manager for the governor of Colorado, Bill Ritter Jr. Previously, she was an investigative reporter for the Rocky Mountain News, and prior to that, for the Philadelphia Daily News. She has received a multitude of regional and national awards. She has a BA from New York University and was born in Seoul, South Korea. Sam and Myung are married, and they currently live in Evergreen, Colorado, together with their 3 children. They have recently published a book that they co-authored, The New Korea, an inside look at South Korea's economic rise. They have graciously offered to make a few copies of this book available today. They will be available for a book signing after the program. The book costs $25. If you have cash, that's fine. If not, please make the checks payable to one of the 2 authors, should you be interested. The aim of the book that they have recently published is to help the readers understand the key political, cultural, and business developments that have defined Korea's accelerated economic growth for a few decades, and then that have been relevant to what Korea has done since the 1997 Asian financial crisis. Today's presentation will be taking a very interesting look at Korea's contemporary and modern economic history, with a particular focus on Korea's auto industry, its past, present, and future prospects, and also a look at other industries that have been relevant to Korea's economic development in general, and to the development of Korea's auto industry in particular, such as steel and Korea's roads. Without further ado, I would like to invite Sam to take the floor and begin today's presentation, which will take about 40 to 45 minutes and will be followed by a Q&A session until 1:30 p.m.
Thank you very much, Greg, and thank you everybody for coming. Welcome. I'd like to express our gratitude to KEI for inviting us to speak today, and thank you everyone for coming on. 안녕하십니까. I would like to start by talking a little bit about the book and why we felt this book was needed out there. There are a lot of books on Korea, a lot of excellent books on Korea, but there hasn't been a book written in the last 10 years, and Korea has changed dramatically in the last 10 years. With the IMF crisis and the events that followed shortly thereafter, it's a significantly different economy. I think a lot of Westerners, when they see the title "The New Korea," they think we're talking about the tiger economy, the emerging market Korea. But that isn't really a good picture of Korea. When we talk about the new Korea, we talk about the 14th largest economy in the world, and an economy that has essentially arrived to developed status and faces different challenges than it did 10, 20 years ago. And we also wanted to write a book that was not an academic textbook, that was more of a journalistic style, that's engaging, compelling read, filled with rich anecdotes, and the kind of book that somebody will want to pick up and read and not want to put down. And we feel that we succeeded in doing that. And finally, we wanted to write a book that talked about the new Korea, but also in talking about the new Korea, linked it to the old Korea, because everything in Korea has a historical context, and that's part of what we'll be talking about today. So the focus of today's talk is on a particular chapter we did in the book about the auto industry in Korea, and we divided it into 4 sections. One talking about the road system in Korea, in particular the Gyeongbu Expressway. And secondly, the steel industry. And third, the auto industry itself. And fourth, the maturity of that auto industry and how it has changed in the last 10 years. So Myung and I are going to trade off a couple times here. Am I speaking okay? Is it? And we will be, and Myung is going to start speaking about the steel industry in Korea.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. As you can hear, my voice is not so good. I'm going to do my best here, and if I lose my voice during this talk, I'm going to hand it over to Sam. So, thank you for coming. So, here is a familiar face in Korea. He is a very revered figure, Park Tae-jun, and he is the reason why we created the infrastructure to create an industrialized country. Back in the 1960s, Korea was still struggling from the aftermath of the war, and there were really very few developed roads at that time. And Busan was the shipping port where goods were shipped out to other countries, and they needed a way to transport the goods from the Seoul area down to Busan. So President Park, he came up with this ambitious idea to create a huge highway, 8 lanes wide. And this was going to be a difficult matter to create. So let me talk about that a little bit later. Going back to Park Tae-jun, he also, President Park, he wanted to create a road. He also wanted to create a steel factory. You needed to have steel to industrialize. So that's where Park Tae-jun comes in. Now, Park Tae-jun, he had no background. He didn't have the skill to understand how to build a steel factory or to how to make steel. But he took on the job partially out of his patriotic duty to this country. And I just wanted to read something really quickly out of the book. It's on page 104. When Park Tae-jun decided to take on this job, he had a meeting with President Park, and he made a few demands. Park Tae-jun decided immediately to do away with the usual shenanigans of Korea's business culture. He jotted down 3 demands on a piece of paper and took it to President Park for approval. The POSCO founder said he wouldn't take on the project unless he could avoid the tacit rule of donating large sums of money to the ruling political party, or of having to bend to political pressures on hires and going through government bureaucracy to purchase products and services. Park Tae-jun wanted full control to develop the project on his own and without the burdens of politics and red tape. The president quickly gave his blessing and signed his initials to the paper. This was a note that Park Tae-jun had given to the president. For years after that, Park Tae-jun carried the paper with the president's initials in his pocket to show to any politician or government official whom he angered when he refused to contribute to a political party or give other political favors. So then there was the matter of actually building the steel factory. So he had this he had the support of the president, but he needed the money. And that was a very difficult goal to achieve. He had gone to the Americans, he had gone